Relooted arrived, claiming it would change the game.
But peel back the paint and the agenda's the same.
A steal-it-back tale wrapped in neon bright lies.
Shallow game on the surface. A case study in disguise.
Let's talk about Relooted. So it's the game where you're a black person wearing very neon bright colors and you steal things from museums, but you're wearing neon bright colors and you're not disabling the alarms. So I guess that's supposed to be a good thing. I don't know.
I don't know, but if they're being thieves, they are being extremely bad at it.
But there's a lot to cover here because also the people in charge of the game have actually gotten mad about the forums being flooded with things. I also want to mention something many people don't know. Relooted took 5 to 6 years to make. You heard that correctly. 5 to 6 years, according to the people who actually made the game. So surprise, trash gets made with 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, apparently so.
Now, we could sit here and talk about the game and tell you about why it's bad or whatever. But you know what might be easier than doing that?
Having the person who made the game tell you himself, correct?
Yeah, because guess what, guys? We have a bunch of clips. We have some clips here from the actual person who made this game, or one of the CEO of the game, Brian. Ben
Myers or Ben Myris or
Ben
however
Myers,
it's pronounced.
I believe. I don't care how it's pronounced,
Myers.
honestly. Let's shift over to the media room.
So let's get stuck into that. The development of this studio. It's the largest, or that we're aware of, the largest single budget, single project.
Yeah.
Game that's been coming out of the region.
Yeah.
Probably ever.
Yeah.
That's no small thing.
Because, by the way, what you guys don't know, maybe some of you do, but some of you don't know, is Relooted isn't their first game. Their first game was a game called Semblance, and you're about to find out how well the game did. You ready for this, guys?
They're not ready for this.
Yeah, I do want to get into that relationship, how it got started.
Yeah, so I mean, outside of that, it's the single largest project by team scope, size, and budget.
No one cares. No one cares. It's the biggest team by scope and budget, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. No one cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
In an engine that no one's ever worked in before with a team that's never shipped a game.
You heard him correctly. The game was made in an engine that no one ever worked with before, and the team, not a single person has ever shipped a game.
At least in their role they're currently in, with experimental gameplay and untested audience.
And you're doing it in Africa.
And in Africa, yeah.
We'll get into that cliche in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, essentially what happened is we launched Semblance in 2018.
So he's talking about his first game, Semblance, and they launched it in 2018. Let's hear what he has to say.
Did very well critically, but not very well financially. We didn't recoup the investment from the publisher.
What? You mean their first game, Semblance, was critically acclaimed and made no money? What? No way!
How can that be so? It's almost as if the critics and the actual players are not one and the same.
What do you mean, honey? How racist and sexist of you?
And then me and Sugar, my co-founder, we were prototyping ideas, trying to figure out what the next thing was.
You're about to hear a name that we have talked about before that you will be very surprised to hear here. But people who have watched Gothic Therapy for quite some time, you'll recognize this name quite well. It'll be one you didn't expect to be here.
And then we both made functional prototypes, and then we showed them to our friends, our Swedish friends at Landfall. And
dun, dun, dun! Landfall Games has been mentioned.
who funded Wings Interactive.
You remember Wings Interactive, guys? You know, the thing that totally wasn't funded by Landfall, and then we found it was funded by Landfall, and then they erased all their stuff.
And then they deleted it overnight?
So yeah, wow, what? A company in Africa has connections to Landfall games in Sweden? But wait, it gets even better. It gets even better. You haven't seen anything yet, guys.
Oh boy, here we go.
We were like, what do you think of these? And they were both like, these both suck. But I had another idea for a game, which was just a pitch line and a piece of concept art. And I showed them that, and they were like, you should make this. So just one line and a piece of concept art over 2 functional prototypes. They were like, you should make this. So then we didn't really have enough time we were running out of money pretty quickly. So we didn't have enough time to really make a fully functional prototype. So we started putting together a pitch deck and sort of made a prototype video. So it looks like the gameplay is actually happening, but it only exists for the video. And then
so what he's talking about, the game he's talking about, in case you guys haven't figured out yet, is the game Relooted.
Put that all together. We went to GDC, we pitched it, and no one wanted to publish it.
Guys, they went to GDC with their video they mocked up to make it look like it was gameplay and said, hey, we have a game about black people relooting things from museums. Do you want it? Crickets. Nobody wanted to fund the game.
Literally no one.
Can I ask how you're
glorious.
pitching? Like, what was the original pitch deck? Is it look like what you're going to be releasing, or is it completely different?
Pretty vastly different in terms of art style, gameplay, production value, even like overall theme to some extent. That game was Afrofuturist, while this is more African futurist, which is a delineation we can get into. But the same, you can see the game there, but it's pretty vastly different in every
Understand the
aspect,
difference.
even in budget.
So so that initial pitches, you're saying guys weren't really interested. So how did that work?
So that was quite a while before that happened. So
and how did that happen?
So, I mean, it's a long story. I mean, right after that happened, essentially we ran out of money, and me and Sugar had both been living at home with our parents the entire time we'd been making Semblance. So Sugar.
So they ran out of money because no one wanted it, and they were both, him and his
co-founder, they were both living in their
parents' houses. Is anybody surprised by this yet? No?
I don't think so.
It was like, I can't really do this anymore. I need to get a job, which is obviously fair enough.
We're all in that space.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's like a breakup with a co-founder leaving. So it was obviously intense for both of us, but we sort of got over it. And then we started hanging out a lot outside of that. But for me, I still really thought this game was worth making.
Now, here's where it happens. He thought the game was worth making, but they were out of money. So how did he get the money to make the game?
And so I sort of lucked into getting a cut of a deal I didn't really have any reason to get from basically a finder's fee, I guess, which was pretty lucky. And then from that, I actually got a loan, I think it was roughly $70,000 from Landfall, our Swedish friends.
Dun, dun, dun! What? You mean they got a loan from Landfall Games for $70,000, and that's what they allowed them to start working and actually start funding Relooted? So you mean the same place that funded Wings Interactive also funded this game? They can't be connected. No. You guys are noticing connections. There aren't any. You guys are just bigots and sexists and racists.
It's not
There's no connections at all.
It's not a pipeline. There are no connections. They're all conspiracy theorists and idiots and blah, blah, blah.
I think it's so funny. Everybody says, there's no connections. They don't have a shadow publisher. Here they are funding another random game. By the way, keep in mind, Landfall's in Sweden.
And this is South Africa.
Make it make sense.
Which is 70% of the budget of Semblance.
Oh, interesting.
Which was 70% of the budget of Semblance, which they mentioned was not actually didn't make any money. So it was $100,000 to make Semblance, and they couldn't even make that back. But the loan from Landfall to help them start the production of Relooted was 70% of the money they never made back from their first game.
Again, make it make sense.
So the sort of commitment to a different tier was already starting to grow. And so with that, I was able to hire like 1 or 2 people. And then early in that year, it must have been 2020, I got an email from an agent at United Talent Agency.
We will come back to this. Keeping it in mind, United Talent Agency. We will get back to that shortly. That's where the majority of their money came from, and we have more information on that, so stick around.
A lot more. There's too much.
It's like one of the 2 big Hollywood talent agencies. And he was like, I'm an agent. I want to sign you guys. Are you interested? And based on our experience we'd had at GDC pitching before, and me also now trying to increase the budget of the game, because I was assuming that was the part of the issue, is the production value.
That was not just the issue. That the game sucks. Nice try, though.
We decided to sign with him. And then he ended up pitching it to people there's no ways we would have ever been able to.
The original fund for this company to allow them to make Relooted was from Landfall Games. Wow, what a small world.
Dun, dun.
But wait, guys. Ask you this question. Okay, fine. Now we understand where the money came from and how their first game was a failure. But why this game? Why did they make this game? Who ever thought this game would be profitable, and why? Well, guess what, guys?
He is about to tell us himself.
We are about to find out the real reason they made Relooted.
There's multiple big theories with Relooted. One of which is there haven't been a lot of African-inspired games, or basically 0 African-inspired games, which have done really, really well in the West. And part of my theory was, frankly, maybe they weren't good enough, or the production values weren't high enough to compete just yet. So Relooted was trying to go all in on that.
You failed.
Failed miserably. Absolutely miserably.
And see, is there a demand for African-inspired content around the world? Right. And if that proves to be true, and it does well, then that changes the sort of games anyone can make in Africa, South Africa, around the world, really. And it changes the games Yamacorp will continue to make.
Yamacorp. Just want to mention Yamacorp.
Otherwise, I guess I'll just be making platformers for the rest of it.
So you hear what he just said. He made the game to see if there was an audience in the West for African games.
Or something.
So are you saying you are not sure if they are interested for our culture and stuff like that, African games?
So I've wanted to make African-inspired and themed games for a very long time, but there was no evidence that there was ever a market for it, really.
Okay.
And so I had this idea in late 2017, but it wasn't until mid-2018 when Black Panther came out that I thought there was actually commercial opportunity to do it.
So he decided Black Panther was successful, so that means if I make a South African game, people will play it, right? Because it has nothing...
Yes, because it has nothing to do with the fact that Black Panther was attached to the MCU, which was already extremely popular.
No. It has nothing to do with that. It was clearly... Everybody showed up for Black Panther clearly because it was Black Panther. That's the reason. There was nothing else attached to it. Nothing else.
It was the first time I'd seen African-themed, African-inspired culture perform commercially at that sort of level. And I was like, oh... That was the click in my head, because African game developers have been making African-themed games for Africa, but no one had been talking about making African-themed games for the West.
Yes, no one had been talking about making African games for the West, so it's his job, Diversity Man, to bring the poor, oppressed Westerners the South African culture games, right? He volunteers as tribute, guys. He volunteers as tribute.
Okay, get you.
So I saw that there was interest there, but there hasn't been evidence if there's that market for games.
Oh.
In every other medium, it's true. It's there. TV, music, books, everything. Still not yet an example in games.
Okay, I get you.
And then the data is confusing a little bit around this, because the data says that there is a huge population, like the African diaspora, that plays games. So it's a difficult nut to crack, but there is.
So the data says there's a big African audience that will play these games. Source?
Including an African diaspora, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
No evidence yet that there is a demand for that, at least on PC and console.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in all my conversations, I say, look, Relooted is the big case study, right?
Relooted is the big case study. What? You know what that means, guys? Let me spell it out for you. Okay? Relooted was made as a case study to see whether or not there would be an audience for a South African made game in the West. That's the whole reason the game was made. Not to be popular, not to sell, to see, is there an audience for this kind of game here? The answer is no.
Not for a South African made game and a African centered game.
And I mean, it's interesting that you're also framing it as such, and that you've taken such a gamble in your own studio and life on this hypothesis. And
he took such a gamble with this hypothesis, guys. He's like, our first game failed, and we didn't make any money. So you know what we should do? Black Panther made money. So I think I'll go make a game.
So we should copy Black Panther.
Grateful for the work you've done and for testing those waters for the kind of community in the industry.
Thank you. You know I love to be a martyr.
Guys, he loves to be a martyr. But wait, guys. Here's the funniest part.
Oh, wait, there's more.
What do you think he thinks of the people who didn't like his game? Well, if you're wondering, instead of him just making vague posts on his Blue Sky, which I found, he actually addresses it here. So we're going to get to actually hear what he has to say about if you don't like Relooted, okay, this is what he thinks of you.
I mean, the response to Relooted has been really fascinating because there's been different waves of people responding. We sort of had the like hardcore gamer audience respond in sort of like sort of a predictable way. It's like, oh my god, there's a black person in this game.
Oh, guys, if you don't like Relooted, it's because there's black people in the game. That's it. That's the only reason. You just don't like it because there's black people in it. Don't you know?
Come up with a better reason.
So woke.
It's so woke.
And then you sort of had African American communities pick it up and have watched it like 1 million times on one reel on Instagram.
Let's stop right here because I'm going to make a point. He says, oh, they all hated it and they said, oh, it's black people. It's so woke.
Wait. Yeah, I got so many views on Instagram.
Yeah, it got so many views on Instagram, guys, but he's about to find out the secret, guys. He's about to learn that social media buzz.
And what is the secret?
May not actually translate to sales. What?
Go away.
And now we have mainstream press like Al Jazeera, BBC, CNN, AFP, Reuters, like writing about the game and it being distributed all over the world. We were in India's biggest weekly newspaper yesterday in an interview. The interest for the game seems to expand almost outside of the medium of games. Well, possibly the audience in games that'll be interested in is more casual. So like a lot of the metrics we're seeing that you usually look at to see interest, like Steam wishlist, everything, are like solid, but don't match up to the amount of attention the game is getting on social media.
Wait a minute, guys. He said, we're seeing solid wish lists on Steam and everything, but the amount of people that are interested in our game don't seem to measure up to the amount of people who talk about it online. No. What?
Say it ain't so. It's only the same pattern we've seen 100,000 times.
You mean that people who buy games don't and talk about how they love to go to support this game because it supports their identities, don't actually buy them?
So it's almost like the audience that will play this game is a lot more casual than typical game players. They might have a PS5, but they buy 2 games a year.
No, it might be that the people who are actually going to buy this game or talk about it on social media aren't going to buy the game. and you just don't want to admit that. And now your game's flopped and failed, and you're crying about it on Blue Sky because your game's a flop.
And so that is a different, interesting problem to have to solve, because everything I've learned over the last decade is how to sell to gamers, not someone who buys one game every year.
Everything he's learned is how to sell to gamers. Well, guess what? Whoever taught you how to sell to gamers, they failed. You suck.
I failed miserably.
Your game's trash. So yeah, did you guys know that Relooted was first off, Relooted was given a $70,000 loan from Landfall Games to actually be able to make the game. The first game was a financial failure and didn't even make back $100,000.
And they did it just to see if people would buy it.
Well, no. They did it because it was a case study to see whether or not if they made a South African-based game and gave it to a Western audience, would there be an audience? Guess what? There wasn't.
There was no.
There wasn't an audience. And you want to know why? Do you want to know why? I'm going to do a truth bomb. You want to know why? It's not because people don't like games with diverse people in it. It's because if you don't make a game that's actually good and then have diverse people in it, no one wants it. People want good games. If you make a game and go, I'm making this as a case study to see if this game sells, guess what? It ain't gonna sell because it's not a good game.
Nope. Exactly, because you're putting the case study first and the game second. As I said, this guy is a horrible representation of South Africa and South African culture and African culture in general. He does not speak for the rest of us.
But wait, okay, 70,000, but where did the rest of their money come from? I'm glad you asked. Alrighty, guys, here we have the United Talent Agency. It says they posted 2 months ago, the United Talent Agency. Congrats to UTA's Judah Silver on being named to Forbes 30 Under 30. Silver is an industry leader in gaming and esports space, representing top independent developers including KOOP, Nyanko Pop, Variable State, Landfall, Jeff Gardner, Stefan Dungu, Wide Right Interactive, and Guiley Games. Notably, he helped close a multi-million-dollar deal for the South African game studio Nyanko Pop to develop Relooted, the largest original game IP created on the continent. But here's the thing. What is the United Talents Agency, you ask? Well, you may have heard of them before because the former person in charge of it back in 2018 also negotiated a deal for a game you might be familiar with, guys. Do you know what the game is? He helped close a deal between Clay Entertainment, who makes Don't Starve, and Chinese media giant Tencent in 2021.
Dun, dun, dun.
But wait, guys, if you think it's done yet, we have even a little bit more for you. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Do you know something, though? Their first game they made, Semblance, back in 2019, was
18.
awarded... Sorry,
It
2018.
says 18 on that. It says 18 on this card.
I got it. Nyanko Pop and Nyanko, which is what it's called, company product Semblance is an independent puzzle platform video game developed by Nyanko. I keep saying it wrong, but it's hard to say.
That kind of sounds like you're trying to combine the name of the actual company with the word nincompoop.
It kind of does. Published by Good Shepherd Entertainment. It was released in 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. But wait, it gets even better, guys. The company was awarded the startup grant of $420,000 to develop their game. Yes, that's right, guys. Wouldn't you know it? Their first game got government funding. What? No way.
Say it ain't
Surprise,
so.
surprise that you know one. But
Exchange rate between Rand and a US dollar is absolutely terrible. But that is the currency of South Africa.
So I tried to figure out exactly who they closed the deal with, and that information is not publicly known. It is actually kept hidden. But some big company signed them on, UTA, United Talent Agency, signed them on, and helped them close a deal to allow them to fund Relooted. And the people involved with that deal, well, you don't get to know your filthy gamer bigots. Oh, and did we mention that Relooted was also worked on by Chris Kindred, former Sweet Baby Inc. Chris Kindred. Hi, Chris. How's the job search going?
Apparently terribly. All right, he should go back to being a stenographer.
It's okay, though. He's busy being a DJ and working as a professor. Yes, Chris, I know everything about you. You can't hide from me, Chris. I see you, Chris.
Like the video, break the algorithm style, share with your crew. Escape life's hell, from spooky memes to advice obscure. Here's your dark solace of humor as a cure.